I never knew that I was secretly hoping that Heathers wouldn't have a reboot, but I just had that realization a little too late, because there's one coming in March. The reboot is set to be a TV series following some fan favorites like JD, Veronica, and the Heathers? Real quick, there may be minor spoilers for the movie, if you care, mostly just my analysis, but before people get all up in arms, here's the warning for this 30-year-old film. Okay, let's look at this first. In the original cult classic film, The Heathers, Heather Chandler, Heather Duke, and Heather McNamara were who everyone wanted to be. They were pretty and popular, and everyone wanted to be them or be with them, and they were considered the pinnacle of high school superiority. I can guarantee you, as someone who graduated from the stereotypical American high school last year, the fat kids, the non-white kids, and the LGBT youth in general were nowhere near the top of the pecking order. Maybe like one or two bi girls and one mixed race guy, but the top three that people would consider most popular were skinny, pretty white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes. And it was the same way at other schools in my area too. And in speaking to other people, it was the same way at their high schools as well. There's nothing wrong with including diversity in works of media, but for God's sake, not here, not now, and not in this context. The core concept of the original film was that diversity should be celebrated, and it got that message across in many ways, including tearing down the three individuals who exude society's standard of perfection and beauty, something that's still almost exactly the same. That societal standard hasn't changed over time, so why are we pretending that it has? The core concept is not that this type of person has the potential to be popular, it's who ultimately will become popular based on the standard they're naturally born holding. So throwing in that
fat kids can be popular
just showcases how much attention is diverted from what the original was founded upon. Of course, people of any shape, size, color, whatever, have the potential to become popular, but it's universally known and accepted that people closest to society's view of the perfect individual are the ones who are popular. When you think of a popular kid, what do you envision? Not this, I guarantee. And if you say it is, you're a liar and you know it. Our brains are trained and wired to understand and accept, on certain levels, society's standard of what is beautiful, and likely your first thought is of what society thinks, even if that's not personally what you agree with, which is usually your second or third thought. That basis is what the original Heathers is founded on. It explores, in a way, the culture of popularity and trend phenomena. And there have always been different trends existing at different times, of course, but the popular trend is its own category. Popular trend in 2018 looks like this. Not this. This is what popular kids are wearing and where they're shopping. In this trailer, they make fun of Veronica for being Banana Republic, but that's where the so-called cool kids shop today. The Heathers are the villains, by the way, so the writers seem to be making the villains some weird anti-hero brigade, taking the thing the Heathers would have 100% been all about and making fun of it, by the people who should, by law of lore, be on the other side. Once again, as someone who just graduated from a stereotypical high school, this is what the Heathers and Veronica would realistically be wearing. And if you wanted to make someone a little edgy, you could even do this. Not to mention, the original had dialogue interesting and unique, but...
Well, suck my third nipple.
And...
Oh my clit.
Jesus Christ, I shouldn't even have to explain how that's not funny at all. I'm going to talk this topic to death, so let's be done with this and move on. Now we move on to this guy, since we're talking about characters. JD is a multifaceted, layered, complex character. So far, this trailer has dulled him down to two things: a domestic terrorist and a teenage Charles Manson. JD is an outcast. He's a lone wolf, just minding his own business, until he meets Veronica, who's drawn to his mystique and the part of her that longs to break from the Heathers and indulge in her angst. JD is angst personified. He's the representation of every emo or violent thought Veronica's ever thought. And that's his initial appeal. He stands apart from this life Veronica is categorized into, and her interest in him parallels our interest in him. We come to find that JD is more than just a bad boy, however. He's a psychopath. Maybe a sociopath, and if you feel like he's neither, which he could be, he's at least getting close to the line. Those labels hold a heavy weight, something more than domestic terrorist or teenage Charles Manson could give him. The musical shifted JD's characterization to be someone who was far more in touch with their emotions, but you could still tell that the character was based off of the original movies, something that is proving to be difficult to do from the trailer of the reboot. And I don't particularly think I'm being picky about that here, considering it took about the same length of time for me to be happy with the musical showcasing of JD's character than I am with the reboots. The same length of time being one song from the musical. Even the JD in touch with his emotions never once directly tried to convince Veronica to kill someone without the slightest bit of lying and manipulation. Something else that I noted is that the line,
"Let's snort Adderall, make out, and kill Heather,"
insinuates that A, snorting Adderall is the thing cool, rebellious teens do, and B, that JD would be that way. The innocence of the slushie is another point I'd like to bring up in comparison to fucking Adderall. JD drinks Big Gulp and smokes cigarettes, and those are his bad habit vices. And if JD did drink or do drugs in the original movie, he didn't make it a big deal. He never mentioned it, and if he did, he would have made a big joke out of certain people's usage of it. If anyone's realistically snorting Adderall, it's the Heathers. I'm still not sure why they even wrote that line in, especially to put in the trailer. Also, did y'all even watch the movie? Do you really, truly think JD would willingly dress up and go to the dance with Veronica and not blow everyone up? Please stop romanticizing the psychopaths. Veronica doesn't seem to be that bad so far, but then again, she isn't really the focus of the trailer. She just seems much duller in the trailer than who she is, but then again, Veronica's pretty quiet until we start following her story and pushing her to her limits. The only big issue I had was how nonchalantly she says,
"We're gonna be late for school,"
over Heather Chandler's corpse. Veronica isn't a killer like JD is. If she were to become one, it would kill the source material by throwing it off a balcony onto a truck filled with spikes. If it's meant to be comedic, it falls flat. Even if it's just a voiceover to make it seem more funny or dramatic or edgy or whatever, the choice is a poor one. I think that they were expecting some kind of outrage or cry like this, and they're certainly getting it. It's a strategy that companies have employed before. Take the Death Note Netflix movie. They knew that there would be backlash, creating discussion about the piece, leading to higher viewership. The goal is not let them reach phase 3 of their plan. Don't hate watch the new Heathers show. That gives them the views and monies they're manipulating out of you. Find someone streaming it or wait until it all comes out and watch it some other way, but don't give them your money by watching the official release. It's sort of the same reason why certain shows are in danger of being killed off. Supporting the official release gives them ammo to bring up to the higher-ups to say, look how successful our show is, give us the money to make more of it. And then instead of dying quietly, like it should, we get another trailer in September 2018 for Season 2. I'm not saying that the people who worked on the show didn't work hard to produce and write and present it. I'm just saying that no matter how pretty you make the dumpster look, it's still a dumpster. And those are basically all of my thoughts on the Heathers reboot based off of the trailers that we've seen on Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the Heathers reboot in the comments below. And if there's something else you'd like to hear me ramble on about, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Speaking of which, if you're interested in watching a really good show, I recommend The End of the Fucking World. It's on Netflix. I thought it was pretty good, and it kind of takes where you think it's going to go and flips it just a little bit, which is pretty interesting. Anyway, I don't really have much else to say, so later, guys.